The sun was only just rising over the misty hills of the Italian countryside, but inside the Roman military camp, the day was already underway. Leather sandals scuffed against the dirt, soldiers checked their weapons, and the smell of food, rich, earthy, and faintly sweet, drifted from the communal kitchen fires. For the Roman warrior, breakfast wasn't just a meal, it was the first step into battle. But what they ate wasn't what you might expect from the world's most disciplined army. Their secret menu was a carefully engineered weapon in itself, a diet designed to build stamina, sharpen the mind, and keep an empire on its feet. Most people today imagine the Roman soldier as a lean, muscular figure, spear in hand, shield gleaming. But behind that image was an intense nutritional plan. These men marched over 20 miles a day in full armor, fought for hours at a time, and endured extreme heat, cold, and hunger. The food they ate had to do more than just fill their stomachs, it had to keep them alive in the harshest of conditions. At the heart of the Roman warrior diet was pulse, a thick porridge made from spelt or barley. It might not sound glamorous, but this humble dish was the foundation of the empire's conquests. The grain was boiled slowly until it reached a dense, almost chewy texture. It could be eaten plain on long marches, or enriched with vegetables, herbs, and a splash of olive oil when supplies allowed. Pulse was cheap, easy to transport, and kept soldiers fueled for hours. But here's the part they didn't tell the enemy. Pulse could also be fortified with secret ingredients depending on the mission ahead. Before a major battle, cooks sometimes mixed in wine-soaked raisins for quick energy, or crushed garlic and onions to boost strength and immunity. Protein came in many forms, and while meat was part of the Roman menu, it wasn't the daily staple we imagine. Fresh meat was rare on campaign, since it spoiled quickly. Instead, soldiers often relied on salted pork, smoked fish, and the occasional cheese wheel hauled along by supply wagons. One of their most prized sources of protein, however, was legumes, especially lentils and chickpeas. These were simmered in large pots with leeks, carrots, and wild herbs, creating a filling stew that could be ladled out in minutes. But no conversation about Roman food is complete without garum, the infamous fermented fish sauce that Romans valued almost as highly as gold. To outsiders, the smell was revolting, salty, pungent, almost overwhelming, but to a Roman soldier, it was the taste of home. Made by fermenting fish innards with salt for weeks under the Mediterranean sun, garum was rich in amino acids and minerals. A few drops could transform even the blandest porridge into a feast. Soldiers believed it gave them strength, sharpened their minds, and even cured certain illnesses. Fruits and vegetables were eaten when available, but the army's logistics meant they had to focus on foods that traveled well. Dried figs, dates, and prunes were staples, carried in small leather pouches. These sweet morsels provided quick bursts of energy during long marches. In summer, soldiers might forage for wild berries or grapes. In winter, pickled vegetables took their place, preserving vital vitamins when fresh produce was scarce. Then there were the battle rations, special foods kept for emergencies or critical missions. These included hardtack biscuits, rock-hard bread that could last for months, nuts, and honey. Honey, in particular, was considered almost. Wine was also a daily part of a Roman warrior's diet, but not in the way we drink it today. Soldiers rarely drank wine pure. It was usually diluted with water to kill bacteria and make it safe to drink. Into this watered wine, they sometimes added herbs or vinegar, the latter producing a drink called posca, a tangy, refreshing beverage that rehydrated troops and kept morale high. To modern tastes, posca might seem strange, but to a Roman legionary marching under the scorching sun, it was liquid gold. The secret to the Roman menu was not just the individual foods, but how they were combined. The army's cooks were masters of efficiency. They could turn a handful of grain, a few vegetables, and some preserved meat into a meal that fed hundreds. Everything was calculated. Enough carbohydrates for marching power, enough protein for muscle repair, enough fats for long-term energy. Even the timing of meals was strategic. Soldiers often ate lightly before combat to avoid sluggishness, saving heavier meals for after the day's fighting was done. Food was also a weapon of discipline. Rations were distributed according to rank, performance, and need. A soldier who shirked his duties might find his portions reduced. A hero in battle might be rewarded with extra wine or meat. In this way, the kitchen became another tool for maintaining order and loyalty within the ranks. Beyond survival, the Roman diet carried deep cultural meaning. Eating together reinforced unity. The sight of hundreds of warriors gathered around fires, sharing from communal pots, was a daily reminder that they were more than individuals. They were a single, unstoppable force. Stories were told over bowls of steaming stew, jokes traded over hunks of bread, and victories celebrated with shared wine. Some foods were even linked to superstition and morale. Certain herbs, like rue and sage, were believed to protect against evil spirits or misfortune. Before major campaigns, special offerings of bread or wine might be made to the gods, not just for divine favor, but to reassure the soldiers that fate was on their side. The secret menu of the Roman warriors was, in many ways, a blend of necessity and ingenuity. It was designed not for luxury, but for endurance. Every bite had a purpose: to keep the mind sharp, the body strong, and the spirit unbroken. The variety ensured that even during long sieges or remote campaigns, the army stayed healthy enough to keep fighting. Historians today are still uncovering details of this ancient military diet, piecing together clues from archaeological digs, preserved texts, and ancient cooking tools. What's clear is that Rome's dominance was built not only on strategy and weapons, but on the ability to keep its soldiers marching, fighting, and winning, meal after meal, year after year. Imagine standing in that camp now. The clang of metal as armor is adjusted, the low murmur of conversation, the crackle of fire under great iron pots. A cook ladles out steaming pulls into a wooden bowl and passes it to you. It's simple, hearty, and unpretentious. You take a bite, and suddenly, you understand. This is more than food. This is the fuel of an empire. The enemies of Rome faced not just an army, but an army that never went hungry, never lost strength, and never stopped moving forward.